Imagine a civilization so advanced, so sophisticated, that ancient Greeks thought it was the stuff of legend. A society that built massive palaces without walls, mastered the seas centuries before anyone else, and then vanished almost without a trace. This is the story of the Minoans, and it is stranger than any myth you have ever heard. Long before Rome, long before classical Greece, long before the great empires of the ancient world began competing for dominance, a remarkable people rose on a small island in the Mediterranean Sea. The island was Crete. The civilization was Minoan. And around 3000 BCE, something extraordinary began to happen there. The geography of Crete made the Minoans who they were. Surrounded by water on all sides, sitting perfectly between Europe, Asia, and Africa, the island was a natural crossroads. The people who settled there had no choice but to become sailors. They looked out at the sea and did not see a barrier. They saw a highway. And they used that highway better than anyone in the ancient world. The name Minoan actually comes from the legendary King Minos, a figure from Greek mythology said to have ruled Crete from a magnificent palace. We do not know if King Minos was a real person. But the civilization that archaeologist Arthur Evans named after him in the early 1900s was very, very real. Evans discovered the ruins of a breathtaking palace complex at Knossos, and what he found there changed everything historians thought they knew about the ancient world. By 2000 BCE, the Minoans had entered their golden age. And golden is not even strong enough a word. The palace of Knossos alone covered over 20,000 square meters. It had hundreds of rooms, elaborate frescoes painted on every wall, advanced drainage and plumbing systems that Europe would not see again for thousands of years, and grand staircases that still inspire architects today. But here is the most shocking part. The palace had no defensive walls. None. While every other ancient civilization was building massive fortifications to protect themselves from enemies, the Minoans felt safe. And the reason was simple. Their navy was so powerful, so dominant across the Aegean Sea, that no enemy dared attack them. The ocean itself was their wall. The Minoans were master traders. Their ships carried pottery, olive oil, wine, and precious metals to Egypt, to the Levant, to mainland Greece, and beyond. They developed their own unique writing systems, first called Cretan hieroglyphics, then a script known as Linear A, which to this day has never been fully deciphered. Think about that. We still cannot read their words. Their language remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in the history of human communication. Their art was unlike anything else in the ancient world. Minoan frescoes show dolphins leaping through waves, young men and women performing daring acrobatic jumps over charging bulls, women dressed in elaborate gowns with their hair beautifully styled. These were not a grim, war-obsessed people. Their art celebrated life, nature, movement, and joy. Women in Minoan society appear to have held significant status, something that was radical for its time and that historians are still studying and debating today. At their height, the Minoans controlled a network of trade routes and smaller settlements across the Aegean that some historians now call the first thalassocracy, which means rule by the sea. They were not conquerors with armies. They were dominators of commerce, culture, and the ocean. And then everything fell apart. Around 1450 BCE, Minoan civilization collapsed with terrifying speed. The exact cause is still debated. One major theory points to the catastrophic volcanic eruption of the nearby island of Thera, modern-day Santorini, one of the largest volcanic explosions in recorded human history. The eruption and the devastating tsunamis it triggered may have crippled Minoan ports, destroyed their fleet, and left their cities in ruins. Others believe the collapse came from a combination of natural disaster, crop failures, internal unrest, and ultimately invasion by the Mycenaean Greeks from the mainland, who took control of Crete and absorbed what remained of Minoan culture. Whatever the true cause, within a generation, the great palaces burned. The vibrant frescoes were buried under ash and rubble. The ships stopped sailing. And the Minoans as a distinct civilization ceased to exist. But they did not disappear without leaving their mark. The Mycenaeans who followed them borrowed heavily from Minoan art, religion, and writing. Elements of Minoan culture fed directly into ancient Greek civilization, which in turn shaped Rome, which in turn shaped the entire Western world. Every time you look at a column, admire a fresco, or hear the legend of the Minotaur locked in its labyrinth beneath a great palace, you are feeling the echo of a civilization that thrived 4,000 years ago on a small island in the middle of the sea. The Minoans remind us that the first does not always mean the most remembered. They built the world's first sea empire, they created beauty that still takes your breath away, and then history swallowed them whole. But they were here. And now you know. Subscribe to Kadim World for more hidden history.